Good evening. I'm doing an impromptu live stream to talk about the Diddy verdict. And I just need to let everyone on social media know that I'm on the air. Good evening, 314 J Rock. Good evening, Mobile Maze. Okay, now that I've let everybody on social media know that the stream is currently on the air, I'm going to let everybody know why I haven't been on doing live streams for the last month. Now, for the last month, I haven't done live streams because I've been having anxiety issues as related to stress, and I decided to take a break from doing lives for a good month. So that's why I wasn't on the air doing live streams on Friday nights. And I'm glad to see you again, Tavanya Joseph. Really glad to see you. And I just decided to do a live stream real quick just to talk about this Diddy verdict. Now, yesterday there was a verdict here in the sex trafficking trial of Sean P. Diddy Combs, and this whole verdict basically came about. And as this verdict came about, what it did was give us a split verdict as related to the alleged charges against Sean P. Diddy Combs. Now, Sean P. Diddy Combs was on trial for allegedly participating in sex trafficking as related to participating in these freak offs that he had with his then girlfriend Cassie. And what the government wanted to do was paint the picture of Sean P. Diddy Combs being a sexual predator as related to these alleged charges. Now, what they wanted to do was say that Sean P. Diddy Combs was participating in a racketeering business as related to having these freak offs. And what they wanted to do was say that Sean P. Diddy Combs was participating in these whole series of racketeering as related to the RICO Act. And they wanted to go out here and use this to go out here and get a conviction against Sean P. Diddy Combs to basically put him in prison for the rest of his life. That's what federal prosecutors were presenting to the jury, and they hope to go out here and be able to get these charges again against P. Diddy Combs as related to this case. However, what happened with the jury is that the jury basically came back as related to these charges, saying that count one, which was the most serious charge of racketeering, and conspiracy as related to creating sex trafficking, he was not guilty. And on count 2, sex trafficking by force or coercion against Cassie or Cassandra Ventura, he wasn't guilty, but he was guilty on count 3 of transportation to engage in prostitution with Cassandra Ventura. And he was also found to be not guilty of sex trafficking of force by coercion against the Jane Doe, but he was convicted of transportation to engage in prostitution against the Jane Doe. And he only got 2 of the 5 charges of being seen as guilty on 2 of those 5 charges. And what they wanted to do, again, was they thought they were going to get a slam dunk verdict as related to these charges against Sean P. Diddy Combs. But what happened was that the jury basically did not buy into the whole idea of Sean P. Diddy Combs being a racketeer as related to creating a business venture to participate in these illegal activities. That's what the jury did not see, and it really wasn't presented as related to the evidence of him participating in a racket or an operation. No, there were no actual business ventures being placed as related to these charges. I mean, the prosecution wasn't able to prove that he had a business venture to basically, again, go out here and again, participate in an enterprise. That was the first charge that was done. They wanted to go out here and say that he was participating in a business venture to go out here and have, as related to these, that wasn't proven. Now, on the second charge, sex trafficking by force or fraud or coercion, again, Cassie was not as related to the case presented as showing her as related to being coerced if she's actually actively being shown in testimony, participating in the freak-offs and documentation as related to that. That's where the case, again, against P. Diddy Combs wound up falling completely apart as related to trying to present him as this racketeer. Now, on count 3, yes, transportation to engage in prostitution of Cassie Ventura, they were able to prove that because, again, he was going across state lines and picking up these prostitutes, again, across state lines. And the whole case of looking to go out here and transport this woman, the Jane Doe, across state lines, they were able to prove that case. But the whole thing is they weren't able to prove it by force because in her own testimony, Cassie, again, agreed to participate in the freak-offs. So the entire case against Diddy basically was not very strong, but it really wasn't about, again, making a case against Diddy, because what the government was doing was looking to, again, send a message to not only Sean P. Diddy Combs, but also send a message to most of these Black entertainers about the unwritten social rules of white supremacy. That's what this case really was all about. This case was really not about the sex trafficking. No, it was all about looking to send a message to Sean P. Diddy Combs and many of these other Black entertainers regarding the unwritten social rules of white supremacy. Now, Sean P. Diddy Combs, as related to things, yes, he did break the law as related to prostitution across state lines. However, the thing that he was being tried for was not going out here and only breaking those laws as related to going across state lines. He was really being tried for going out here and violating the unwritten social rules of white supremacy. And he was being tried, basically put on trial for violating those unwritten rules as related to the subtle politics transpiring around Black men who are working in the entertainment industry and these big social circles. Now, Sean P. Diddy Combs has gone on to become a billionaire and has gotten not only a lot of wealth, but has also gone and traveled in these business social circles. And as he's traveled in these business social circles, what he thought was he had the same power and influence as a white man. And because he thought he had the same power and influence as a white man, what happened with Diddy was that he thought challenged the institutions of white supremacy as related to finance. And that's what he tried to do when he went out here and allegedly filed a lawsuit against the people at the Ciroc Corporation, the people who went out here and allowed him to be able to have his own line of I believe, vodka or whatever it was. What they wanted to do was, what he wanted to do was think he had the same power and influence as a white man. And as he went against this British organization as related to alcohol and spirits, what they did was look at that as an affront to the institution of white supremacy, because what they wanted to know, what they believed, is that this black man basically was getting, again, a little too uppity, as the old Southerners used to say, or as some people would say, you know, he's getting a little too big for his draws, because he's thinking he's going to challenge the institution of white supremacy and not take whatever he's given like a common black man is supposed to do. Now, that's where the whole case as related to Diddy, as related to all of this salacious stuff coming out, because those in the institution of white supremacy felt offended by Diddy, again, having the audacity to go out here and believe that he was the same as a white man. And that's where he violated the unwritten social rules of white supremacy, because when they saw this black man thinking about getting his financial due, that's when they decided, hey, we need to let this colored boy know his place. And that's when they decided to leak the footage of Cassie being beaten at that hotel. And after that came out, that's where we started to see the whole case against Diddy come out, again, looking to go out here and send a message to not only Sean P. Diddy Combs, but also send a message to all of these black bootlicks in the entertainment industry. Again, this was all about sending a message to all of those black bootlicks that you do not go out here and violate the unwritten social rules as related to the institution of white supremacy. And that first unwritten social rule is that you don't go out here and challenge the institution of white supremacy and go out here and, as they see it, bite the hand that fed you. And that's what they did, again, looking to, again, let Diddy know that he was not the one in charge of things, because what Diddy was thinking, he was thinking, yeah, I'm the man. I'm the one who got all these different parties. I got video of all these different people. I've got all this leverage. And what the white supremacists wanted to let him know is that he was not the god he believed he was. No, they let him know, hey, you think you got video footage? No, we got video footage of you. And as we've got video footage of you, we can go out here and let everybody know the salacious stuff you were in. You were thinking you were going to tell us about our stuff with your white parties. You were going to go out here and gain some leverage, but there was no leverage to be had, because the institution of white supremacy, again, he basically didn't understand that the game was chess and not Candyland. And he thought he could go out here and think he could play the chess game, again, not understanding the subtle politics transpiring around him and how he basically was the one who was going to lose the minute he went out here and agreed to play the game. That's what happened with Diddy. He thought he could go out here and play this game with white supremacy. He thought he could play a chess game with the white supremacist. He thought he could go out here and outsmart the white supremacist, and the white supremacist, who basically controls the board and all the rules, let him know that he wasn't the one in charge of anything. No, they let him know, okay, you went out here thinking you're going to tell us how to do business, but you were the one who went out here and made compromises with the institution of white supremacy to become the media mogul that you were. And we only allowed you to become that media mogul because you were out here pushing the messages we wanted. And that's the compromise that Diddy wound up making with the institution of white supremacy. And sadly, what happened with Diddy is that he thought he could go out here and plant these seeds and make this compromise with white supremacy. But what happened is, to Diddy, is something the late Charles Stanley has said in his sermons, which is, you will reap more than you sow, greater than what you sow, and later than what you sow. And that's what happened to Diddy. Diddy basically reaped what he sowed, later than what he sowed. greater than what he sold, as related to all of the unethical business he did behind the scenes. And as he did all of this dirty business behind the scenes, basically doing people who worked with him dirty, doing people all type of wrong, what happened was he eventually went out here and thought he could pull one over on the institution of white supremacy and wind up on top. But that's where the institution of white supremacy decided to flip the game on Diddy and let him know his place in the system of white supremacy as a black man. That's what happened as related to the reason why we have these revelations as related to Diddy. And we had these revelations, again, not because of Diddy being involved in these salacious, again, sexual behavior, but these were all because he violated the unwritten social rules as related to white supremacy. That's what happened here with Diddy, that he violated the unwritten social rule of looking to challenge those in the institution he made a compromise with. And as he made that compromise, this is where we see how Diddy basically sold his soul to the devil as related to things. This is something I showed in my novel, The Temptation of John Haynes. It's right on the back where I say, death kills the flesh, but compromise kills the soul. And what we see with Diddy is, again, he made that compromise with the institution of white supremacy and the devils who were a part of it. And as he made that compromise with the institution of white supremacy, he thought he was going to be able to, again, I'll repeat it once more, get out on top. But there's no getting out when you make the deal with the devils in white supremacy. When you make that deal with the devils in white supremacy, you are in a game that is already rigged and already set up for you to lose. That's what Eddie Griffin tried to warn everybody about regarding the entertainment industry when he said, nobody comes out clean. No black man in entertainment ever comes out clean. And Diddy thought, oh, he's going to come out with clean, with dirty hands. I mean, he was already dirty from day one. And he thought, oh, I'll be able to come out on top and come out on top as related to these whole salacious charges. And what the white supremacists did after he violated their rules was go out here and create a narrative around Diddy. Again, create this narrative around him being a face of sexual predation, make him an image of a sexual predator, show him as related to being a black brute, because what they wanted to do was frame a narrative around Diddy where we don't see him as the millionaire mogul, but we see him as a sexual predator and a sexual deviant. And as we see him as a sexual predator and a sexual deviant, basically what they did was go out here and demonize his name, demonize his reputation, and create this whole narrative. And again, put irrefutable evidence as related to that hotel footage. Again, this was the laying of the foundation as related to things. And then what they did after this was then go and recruit his ex-girlfriend, Cassie, to be a part of that narrative. Now, I talked about in a previous live stream about how Cassie isn't clean, isn't sweet and innocent as related to things. No, what happens with Cassie is basically this was a hypergamous woman looking to monkey branch from entertainer to entertainer. And as she monkey branched from entertainer to entertainer, she was looking for the opportunity to again get that for herself. And as she was out here, she was again with Diddy again because she wanted to be a part of being a top star. This is why she left the first boyfriend that she had, basically was using that guy, then moved on to Diddy, then moved on to Kid Cutie, and then looked to move on to the simp Alex Fine, looked to move on again, looking to play chess moves, looking to monkey branch herself to a successful man. That's what Cassie was doing. And she was, again, as she was trying to go out here, again, she was down with the freak-offs. She was down with this because what she wanted was, again, to climb the social ladder in the entertainment business. She wanted to climb that social ladder in the entertainment business. And basically what she wanted to do was, again, climb that, get that clout. And that's why she was, again, getting with different guys. And basically Alex Fine, again, according to testimony, was down with the freak off. So he was a part of this whole thing. And again, this is where they were looking to try to paint a salacious narrative of Sean P. Diddy Combs being this sexual deviant, was caught up in sexual predation, and wanted to paint the narrative that basically that Cassie was being forced to go out here and get with these guys. However, the testimony proved she basically was looking to be a participant with all these different male prostitutes and was part of the freak-offs. And as she was a part of the freak-offs, again, in testimony, she was basically proving, yeah, you were down with this, even though you were sitting up there trying to make it like he was a bad guy. You were just as bad. And again, they tried to create a salacious narrative of Diddy being this black brute who abused this mixed race black woman, this guy who basically, again, was caught up in such lust and such sexual deviancy that he was basically completely out of control. That's what the government wanted to present as related to the narrative on Diddy, wanted to make him look like a bad guy as related to him being in with his sexual lust. But the whole thing is that he's just the tip of the iceberg as related to Hollywood, because when it comes down to the entire entertainment industry is filled with a lot of guys who are caught up in this type of debauchery. And it's easy to get caught up in this debauchery because what happens is that many of these people in the entertainment industry, they use this as a way to get leverage on people. They use this as a way to go out here and get leverage on people, saying, hey, we got these pictures of you, again, participating in these deviant acts. We've got you in these pictures getting caught up in stuff. And again, this is why I don't want nothing to do with the entertainment industry, want nothing to do with it at all, because there's a lot of people, again, they're not just, again, looking to go out here and, again, just entertain. No, what they want to do is get power over people, and get power over people because a lot of these people, again, it's all about the money. It's all about them making money off people. And again, if they can get leverage on someone, they can get power and control over that person and basically make that person someone they can have under them. And that's what makes Hollywood, again, a twisted place, and the entertainment industry in and of itself real twisted, because people in this business don't see people as people. No, they see people as objects. They see people as property. I go in depth on this in my screenplay book, all about Maryland, about how they commodify people. And as they commodify people, they don't see people as human beings. And that's why someone like Diddy can go out here and abuse someone. That's how he could abuse someone like Cassie, because he never saw her as a human being. No, Cassie didn't even see herself anything as related to his relationship being about human. No, it was all commodification. No, that's what the entertainment industry is. It's really, really commodified, and people basically, again, sell themselves as related to things. And that's why it makes it akin to prostitution. But a lot of people don't know this about the entertainment business. They think, oh, I'm just going out here and entertaining. But it's not about entertaining. It's just commodification. And again, complete detachment as related to humanity. A lot of these people at the top, as related to these Hollywood executives, these music moguls and other type of entertainment moguls, they have become completely detached as related to people. And as they're detached from people, they don't see people as people that deserve to be respected or regarded. No, they see people as, like I talk about in my book, The Man Crisis, they see people in a rose-colored reality where they're detached and disconnected. And as they're detached and disconnected, they basically see people as related to them being objects related for their pleasure. And this is why both Diddy and Cassie could go out here and participate in these freak-offs, because these freak-offs were not about sexual pleasure. No, as sexual deviants, this was about them having power and control over another human being's body, having power and control over another human being's body and using their genitals as weapons to go out here and do harm to another human being. That's what this whole situation was all about, using their genitals as a way to, again, dehumanize someone, break somebody down, take away their agency and power over their own bodies. That's what the freak-offs were all about. And what the government wanted to do was try to say that Diddy was having an enterprise, but there was no way for them to really prove that, because the documentation really didn't prove that, because in order for it to be an enterprise, it would have to be something like an adult film company like Yella from NWA had, where you have to say, okay, this guy is participating in promoting pornography on a platform, and that's what you would have to prove as related to that. And sadly, the government wasn't able to prove that as related to the case, wasn't able to prove that at all as related to what was happening with Diddy. They weren't able to prove that he had an enterprise where he was trafficking human beings, where he was out here bringing in human beings and using their bodies. That's what the people were not able, the government wasn't able to prove. However, they were able to prove that Diddy basically did go across state lines. And as he went across state lines, they were able to prove through the Mann Act that he basically transported someone across state lines for prostitution. And that's what they were able to prove as related to Diddy and Cassie participating in the freak-offs. And as they were able to prove that, they were also able to prove that with Jane Doe. And as they were able to prove that with Jane Doe, they were able to again make their case as related to the Mann Act as related to prostitution. And the Mann Act in and of itself, again, is an act that has been weaponized. It's been weaponized as far back as the 1900s against guys like the heavyweight champion of the world, Jack Johnson. I mean, Jack Johnson basically was the heavyweight champion of the world. And again, he violated the unwritten social rule of white supremacy by marrying a white woman. And they basically used that to go after Jack Johnson. And they've used it to try to go after many heterosexual black men in the entertainment business, because what they want to do is, again, send a message to many of these black men, that they have to be in their place. And if they get a little too uppity, this is the message that they want to send to the world. If you go out here and get out here and start thinking that you're gonna go and think you're gonna be on our level, then you got something coming. And that's what the message they wanted to send to Diddy. It's not about your money, because this is something out to the passport bros. They didn't want to hear that at all. No, what they wanted to think is, oh, I got some money. This is going to make things equal. And I talked about this in another video. I talked about how your money means nothing in the institution of white supremacy. No, your money doesn't mean jack to these white supremacists, because they were the ones who gave you the money. They were the ones who gave you the money, and they don't mind if you go out here and spend your money on some white women. They don't mind if you trick some money off on some chick like Cassie. No, they don't mind if you buy some houses or some luxury cars. But if you start thinking about challenging their economic and political system, that's when they want to slap you down and send that message. Again, you don't cross the institution of white supremacy. They'll allow you to be rich, but they ain't going to allow you to be wealthy. No, ain't going to allow you to go out here and think, oh, you're going to be able to have some wealth. That's one of the issues they had with Bill Cosby, was he basically went out here and again violated that rule the same way Diddy did, to think he could have the audacity to buy NBC and control the black image on their media platform. Now, they don't mind a guy like John H. Johnson having Johnson Publications, but he went to challenge as related to buying NBC, and that's where the white supremacists, again, had their issue with Bill Cosby. And the same thing with Diddy. He thought, oh, I'll challenge their institution, like as related to the Ciroc deal. I want to get a better cut, but there was no cut for him to get, because in the institution of white supremacy, they were saying, hey, we gave you yours. You just take what we give you. And he thought, oh, I can get more. No, there ain't no more for you to get. And they're letting him know that, again, you can wind up with nothing if you cross us and violate our rules. And that's what this whole trial was all about. This whole trial was a flex by the institution of white supremacy. It was a flex to let not only Diddy, but all of these other bootlicks like Breezy, and guys like Curtis 50 Cent Jackson Esquire and O'Shea Jackson and Will Smith and all these bootlicks let them know, hey, if you break our rules, we will go out here and break you easily because you're just a tool. And as you are just a tool, we will go out here and break you if you cross us. That's what this whole trial and all of the scandal around it was all about, because Diddy basically thought, hey, tell all these people, yeah, I got all this power, I'm this mogul. No, they can basically dispatch of you like yesterday's old garbage and basically have you begging for your daily bread, because this is part of the deal that you make with white supremacy. Just like they can make you, they can break you. And that's what's happening here as related to this verdict. Now, the verdict basically was split. And as it was being split, they thought they would go out here and again, just totally destroy this guy. But the case basically wasn't on as related strong to the evidence. But the whole case wasn't just about the evidence. Again, it was about a message. It was about sending a message to all of us Black Americans who are in the entertainment business that, again, you can be easily made and broken. You can be easily going out here and replaced. And again, it doesn't matter how much money you have. No, to them, you're just another N-word again. And they basically, again, are giving Diddy that moment, giving him that moment, because even with these charges, again, if he was a white guy, he basically would have been able to go home. And then that's what he thought he was going to be able to do. Diddy thought, oh, I'm going to be able to go home. But no, that's where the white supremacists went out here and looked to further reinforce their message by going out here and put into custody, into sentencing. They basically wanted him to know, we were the ones who put you in this whole situation, and we can also keep you in this situation, because Diddy thought he was going home to his bed, but the white supremacist again wanted to send that message. Now, Cassie wants to say that her being afraid, but the whole thing is that they didn't care about that at all. No, what they cared about was the message they wanted to send. And that's the message that they wanted to send out here was, Diddy, you ain't got no power. It don't matter how much money you got. It don't matter how rich you are. No, we can control your freedom. And that's where Diddy got it all twisted. He thought, oh, I got off. No, they're not finished with him yet. Again, because this is all about breaking a tool right in front of everyone and making an example of one of their tools. And even though this guy thought he was a crown jewel, no, he was just a tool. And again, he was just another tool to the white supremacists to influence Black people as related to the agendas they wanted to present. That's where he made the compromise with white supremacy. Oh, I'll go out here and promote this music that promotes thug culture, promotes gangster rap, promotes anti-Black messages, and gets Black people to not compete as related to life, to think that, oh, the street life was normal. That's the compromise he made with his music. And as he made that compromise, he thought, oh, he was going to have it home free. Thought he was going to have it to the point where he was home free, but his head got gassed up. And as his head got gassed up, he thought, oh, I can be an honorary white person, not looking at the casualties as related to that whole ideal, because O.J. Simpson thought he was an honorary white person, thought he was accepted by white society. But when it came down to things in 1994, O.J. Simpson was basically given his N-word moment when they accused him of taking the life of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman. And that's where his card got revoked, because he basically thought, oh, I'm an honorary white person. I can be a part of white supremacy. But the whole thing was that the institution of white supremacy let him know, okay, this is your place. This is your place as related to our system. And as they let him know what his place was in their system, that's how we got the trial of the century. And as we got the trial of the century, O.J. Simpson, by a miracle from God, basically got off because the evidence was weak as related to their case. And as it was weak as related to their case, they couldn't prove their case against O.J. Simpson. And eventually, what happened to OJ was that OJ basically got an acquittal, but they still weren't finished with him. And then what happened to him is that they had this civil trial. And as they had this civil trial, basically, they went after his assets. And after they went after his assets, again, OJ was basically out here again. He was just out here drifting as related to things until his death, because the institution of white supremacy had no use for him at that point. And as they had no use for him at that point, that's where they basically, again, decided to deal with him, again, by ostracizing him. Now, he thought he was going to be down, but the whole thing, he wasn't, they decided they were just through with him. And as they decided they were through with him, he was just out here drifting until his death. And that's what happened with O.J. Simpson. And that may be the fate for Sean P. Diddy Combs, because, yes, he's avoided the life in prison, but he's still gonna have to deal with this sentence. Now, this sentence that people are speculating that it may be 2 to 5 years, but again, that's time out of your life you're not gonna get back. And if it's 2 to 5 years, he's gonna be either 57 or 60 years old. And just being in a prison for any period of time is a horrific thing. I mean, he's gone from being able to have white parties and be able to have his freedom to now dealing with Bubba, Tiny, Roscoe, Big Dave, Melvin, and Mr. Sprinkles. And yeah, he may be able to buy them some commissary like Little Debbie snack cakes and ramen noodles, and may even be able to get some Choco Blisses or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pies trucked in. But the whole thing is that he lost his freedom, and he has the mark, like Eddie Griffin has stated. Again, he ain't leaving clean, and he ain't leaving clean, and that's the whole sad thing about Again, he's got a tarnish on his image, but he doesn't care about that because, again, he was the bad boy who was a part of Bad Boy Entertainment. And as part of that Bad Boy Entertainment, he's thinking that this is a good mark. But the whole thing is that, again, dude is in a place where he is, again, a marked man as related to the system of white supremacy, a broken tool. And a broken tool doesn't have any influence as related to things. It doesn't have influence anymore. So, yeah, Diddy did manage to get out, but the whole thing is he's in a jam. And I'm thinking about something Juwan posted. He said he thinks he can get payback against him. That would not be smart, because what they're going to do in the system is, again, they're looking to weaponize anything against him as related to this whole situation. I mean, they're looking for him to go out here and do something, and they may not be finished with him, like Tavania has said. You know, they may be looking to find out what went on with guys like Biggie and other people that people say that wound up getting swerved. I mean, the whole thing is that this is about, again, sending that message that he has no power, and he never really had any power. The only people who a lot of these guys have power with, again, are only black people. But when you go out here and challenge these people who control these institutions, this is where the black moguls get it twisted. Yeah, they'll give you a little bit of power as related to black people, but they ain't gonna let you challenge white man or any institution as related to a white man. No, not gonna let you challenge a white man as related to things. And that's where Diddy got it twisted. He thought, oh, I'm just another white. I'm just like these white people. I can, again, challenge them. And that's where they said, no, you ain't challenging us. You're not going after our institutions, because the liquor was their business. And again, their business of spirits is all about them and their influence. And that's where they basically said, okay, you've crossed this line, and we're going to deal with you, because you getting a little uppity. As I'll repeat it once more because that's the way they be talking about us. Oh, you getting a little uppity. You thinking you can flex. Nah, they're not gonna let you go out here and flex like that. Nah, not gonna let you go out here thinking, hey, I'm gonna do what I want. No, that's not how it goes in white supremacy. They don't let you go out here and flex. And once you start thinking you can flex, that's where they got the that's where they put the X that marks the spot that says you're gonna lose your spot and you're about to be put out. And that's what they're doing with Diddy right now. Exit, showing him the door as related to the institution of white supremacy. Yeah, they let him be a music mogul for a good minute, but that time is up. And that time is up because they okay, this guy is getting a little too big for his draws. He's not understanding the unwritten social rules. And the unwritten social rules of white supremacy, the first one is you don't cross white supremacy when you make the deal with the devil, because when you make the deal with the devil, it's just not a matter of if, but when you're going to get burned. And the whole thing is you can decide if you're going to be original or extra crispy. And basically they took Diddy to the barbecue and he got burnt crispy as related to things. I mean, he didn't get completely toasty like a scorpion fatality where he spits the fireball, but he did get a burn. And again, a burn that was again designed to send a message to all of these black bootlicks in entertainment. Send the message that if you cross us, you will be dealt with. And again, that's the message that has been sent ever since Bill Cosby and even before him with O.J. Simpson. You go out here and cross us and think that you have power like us. We will deal with you. That's part of the unwritten social rules of white supremacy. And what happens is that many a black man thinks he can play the game and thinks he can win, but you can't win the game because the game is rigged. And as the game is rigged, you will never win. And that's what happened here with Diddy. Now he was out here happy because he got a little bit of his freedom, but they let him know what his place was. They let him know what his place was at the end of that verdict. Now he thought he was going to again go back to his house and be able to sleep and get things easy. Nah, not going to happen with white supremacy. And that's what happened with Diddy that led to him again reaping what he sowed, greater than what he sowed, later than what he sowed. And they're not finished with things because I see the chess moves on the board with Cassie, who thought also she could play this game. And she's thinking she's going on to happily ever after with simp Alex Fine, but it's just a matter of time before she's in a divestment disaster that's of epic proportions because she's thinking she's going to get away with the 30 million. But no, Alex Fine is sitting up to, again, pull the swerve and give her the checkmate because what happened with Diddy was the check, but what happens with her is the checkmate because she's thinking she's the queen, but she's not going to be the queen at all. No, what's happening here is she's going to get the checkmate and basically they're going to be in a place where they get the money back from them because again, white supremacy isn't about building black wealth. They're all about giving you enough to be rich and play for a while. They'll let you play for a while with their money, but they're going to look for a way to get their money back, just like they do with the NBA when they put the white women in front of these black men. When they put the white women in front of these black men, it's about getting that wealth back and getting that wealth back as related to things. That's what that's all about. But many of these black men like Diddy because they don't know how the subtle politics transpire around them. They don't see where the finesse is. They don't see where the finesse is. And sadly, what happens with these dudes is that they wind up getting played by the system of white supremacy. And that's what happened here with Diddy, who, yeah, he's going to jail for possibly 2 to 5 years if they don't throw the book at him. But again, it's all about a message because white supremacy is all about messages. It's always about sending messages, not just to the guy like Diddy, but to all of these black bootlicks about their place because white supremacy is insecure. Again, they're hypersensitive. And as they are hypersensitive, again, when they see somebody challenging them, they know they come up with a way to deal with that individual and get them off the board. But sadly, many black men think that they can play this game, not understanding that it's a losing hand. It's a losing hand that you will never win. And the only way to win is not to play the game in the first place. The only way to win as related to the entertainment business is not to get involved, because the minute you get involved, you are going to lose. And again, like Eddie Griffin said, you will never come out clean outside of possibly maybe 2-3 guys. I think Louis Gossett Jr., Robert Guillaume, and that's about it. I mean, Robert Guillaume, basically, I ain't heard nothing bad about him. Louis Gossett Jr. basically those are the only 2 guys who I know who ever came out clean. But the whole thing is, this is a very dirty business. It's a very grimy business. This entertainment business, again, people think they can go out here and run this business. But the whole thing is, when you make that deal with the devil, you know that you're going to lose. You're not only as related to this earth, but you're possibly going to lose your soul, because this business, again, is filled with a lot of opportunists, a lot of greedy people who basically will throw anyone under the bus, even people they say they admire. I talk about that in depth in my book, Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer. I talk about how people are really ambitious, because those folks in LA, again, a lot of them are sharks, and again, will eat you alive. And not only is the grass on that other side scary, because you got the grass smelling like crap, tasted like crap, and looking like crap, but you also got people who, again, will slit your throat and then sell your body for meat. That's what's over there in the entertainment business. And again, it's not a business I would recommend anybody get in, because you're going to be dealing with shady people. And for black people, again, you're going to be dealing with this institution of white supremacy, who doesn't want you to be seen as an elevated image, but wants you to see you in their characterized images, like the brute, like all of the other stereotypes that they present. That's what they want to see on their platforms. And Diddy made that compromise to, again, push those narratives. And again, I'll repeat it once more. He reaped what he sowed, greater than what he sowed, later than what he sowed. And the only reason why he's not getting convicted is because the hand of God came in and meted out divine justice through that jury. Now, he was punished for the crimes that he actually did commit with those freak-offs. He was convicted of that prostitution of his girlfriend. As related to things, he was convicted of picking up prostitutes and, again, traveling them across state lines. These were the crimes that he did commit, and that was divine justice, because what the white supremacists wanted to do was complete injustice, and do complete injustice by going out here and, again, sending the harshest message as related to things. But this was all about, again, destroying this man's reputation and showing how easy it is to destroy his reputation, how easy it is to destroy one of the reputations of this prominent entertainer and make it where he doesn't have a lasting legacy and that can go on. Again, there are messages being sent here, again, but a lot of people have to look at the big picture and the subtle politics transpiring around them, and look at the bigger picture as related to this whole situation. Because when I look at this Diddy verdict, again, it's a miracle that he was able to get out of this whole situation, and he needs to thank God, and he needs to really look at his life and look at the mercy that God has had on him. He needs to really look at his life and the mercy God has had on him, because he could have been in a horrible predicament where he basically, again, would be have to deal with coming after him. Now they're going to be coming after him with civil lawsuits, so his assets are going to be in a jam, and again, a really bad situation. But the whole thing is that the deal that he made with the devil just came due, and that's what happened here with Diddy. Again, his deal with the devil came due, and as he made that compromise that cost him his soul, he's basically in a situation that he basically regrets getting in. He thought, oh, I'm going to get fame and fortune. But the whole thing is, with this situation with white supremacy, they got a way to get their fortune back. And this is where they're going on with their plan to get their fortune back and send Diddy back into the abyss and send him on his way. Now, Edison asks, what do I feel about Yu-Gi-Oh as a franchise? It's basically reminded me of the barbershop where people are playing cards and basically trash talk. And that's what Yu-Gi-Oh was all about. But that was one of my favorite shows when I was a kid, when I was in my 20s. I used to love watching Yu-Gi-Oh. But the whole thing is that, it's a fun show. And I know the manga's a bit more fun. But I just wanted to just do a quick stream because I was busy doing stuff at home, so I didn't have time to make a video on the Diddy verdict. So I just wanted to do a quick live stream. Now this is the first live stream again I've done in a month because I've been trying to deal with anxiety issues and other things as related to my health. So I just decided to just do a quick stream and let everybody know my thoughts on the Diddy verdict, because I know some people want to know what I was thinking regarding this Diddy verdict. So just come on real quick, let everybody know what's going on. First, I'm looking for my first paperback and ebook sale for Amazon. I'm looking for my first paperback and ebook sale, and I really would appreciate it if you guys would pick up some of the 2025 books, like Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer. I mean, this is a big book. It's the biggest Spinsterella story I've ever written. And if you could pick up other books like The Steam Season of The Witch Girl or John Haynes' A Thorn in My Side. I mean, I'm looking for my first paperback and ebook sale for this month, and I really would appreciate if you pick up one of these 3 books or some of the other books on the SJS Direct imprint, like The Legendary Mad Matilda, Isis Amari's Revenge, or other books like Isis Dark Incubus or Spinsterella. I mean, I really would appreciate if you guys would pick up some of those books on Amazon.com in paperback or Kindle format, or if you could pick it from one of the other online bookstores like Draft to Digital or Google Play. It really helps out the channel and helps me to be able to stay on the air. And I would also appreciate it if you guys would, head over to the Cash App or the PayPal, help out that way as well, because that's how I also, able to stay on the air and pay for the internet. That's also another way you could help out, because that's how I also stay on the air as well. So I really would appreciate it if you guys would head over to those platforms and drop a donation. Anything is greatly appreciated. And, that really helps me out as related to staying on the air, because part of my anxiety is that, I'm not going to have enough money to take care of myself and things like that. And that's where your donations and stuff really help out. And if you guys could also, help out by, again, picking up my first full comic, John Haynes at Death's Door, that also helps as well. My first full comic, John Haynes at Death's Door, is available on Lulu.com. And again, you can get a copy for the same price as the 2022 Kickstarter. And again, also helps out. And again, I really appreciate everybody coming out tonight. Now, this is the stream for this time. I don't know if I'll be able to do another one, but I want to thank everybody for coming out to tonight's stream. And I hope you'll be there for next week's, or whenever I do another stream. I hope you'll be there for it. But I hope to try to get myself together. Eventually, maybe I'll be able to do something soon. So I want to thank everybody for coming out to tonight's stream, and I'll see what I can do in the future.